Cohort 10, Week 24, Day 3, English for Vocational Purposes 2, Unit 5. By the end of today, you should be able to review and consolidate previously learned vocabulary items relevant to safety hazards. You should be able to ask and answer questionnaire about safety at work. You should be able to use the newly acquired vocabulary in sentence completion activities. And you should be able to use the newly acquired vocabulary to write about safety hazards. As we always do, we start our lesson with a safety talk. This week's safety talk is about distracted driving, cell phone use. Today we are going to look at some statistics about cell phone use and driving. Nearly 330,000 injuries occur each year from accidents caused by texting while driving. 1 out of every 4 car accidents in Saudi Arabia is caused by texting and driving. Texting while driving is 6 times more likely to cause an accident than driving drunk. Answering a text takes away your attention for about 5 seconds. Traveling at 55 miles per hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Texting while driving causes a 400% increase in time spent with eyes off the road. So take care, don't use your phone, don't look at your text messages, and don't reply to them because this might cost a life. Vocabulary review. Before we start the new lesson, let's review, just have a review of the last lesson's vocabulary items. Name the hazard. Is it slippery surface that you can see? Is it icy surface, falling object, or a hazard of working from height? Look at the picture. Yes, that's it. It refers to the hazard of falling objects. The next picture, what is the hazard represented in this picture? Is it slippery surface, ice surface, falling objects, or working from heights? Yes, very good. It represents the hazard of working from heights. This picture, is it a symbol of slippery surface, ice surface, falling objects, or working from heights? It's very clear that it refers to the hazard of slippery surface. As you see here, the ground has some liquids, or maybe it's wet, that's why it is slippery. Name the hazards. Oh, you can see this. Okay, very good. This is icy surface. Name the injury. This time, we have to look at the picture and to try to name the injury. What's this? Is it a head injury, arm injury, leg injury, or back injury? As you see, as you have studied last lesson, this is a head injury. Which hazard might cause head injury? Yes, falling. If you're not putting on your helmet, and tipping, yes, slipping also, because you might hit the ground with your head. So it's very important to put on the helmets and try to avoid any causes that might lead to head injury. What can you see in this picture? What's the name of the injury? As you see here, this is an arm injury. Which hazard might cause an arm injury? Falling, tripping, slippery surfaces. All of these are hazards that might cause injuries. Yes, Look at the words. I don't need to say them again. Okay, this is leg injury. And as we said in the previous slide, all the hazards might cause leg injury, especially falls. Uh, Tripping also might cause some leg injuries. This, yes, that's it. It's a back injury. Back injuries always happen when you lift something which is very heavy. So a heavy load is a cause of back injuries. And today, inshallah, we will learn how to lift a heavy load in a safe or the safest way. Okay, as you see, some cooks here. This is a hand. Okay, so it refers to unguarded machine or machinery. The machine is unguarded, it doesn't have someone next to it, and it's not covered. Or the dangerous parts of the machine are not covered. Okay, what can you see in the picture? What are the hazard sources here? These are cables and cords on the floor. So cables and cords. They might cause electric shock, and also they might cause tripping. Here, you can see some spills of liquids. Spills of liquids usually cause slips. Here, we have some ladders, scaffolds. Ladders and scaffolds are always a source of falls. Can you see in this picture? You can see some toxic garbage. This refers to toxic garbage. It must be dealt with very carefully, and it must be kept outside the workplace in specific places to protect everyone in the workplace. Then, okay, very good. Heavy loads. For heavy loads, as you see, all right, very good. Chemicals. These are chemicals, and chemicals are very dangerous. They might cause burns. So this, okay, it refers to hot weather. Hot weather is always a serious situation, and you should avoid working in hot weather because it might cause fatigue and it might cause sunstroke or it might lead to death. So avoid working in hot weather. Now we have a speaking activity here. You have to look at the conversations here and try to imitate or make similar ones with your colleagues. In this conversation, a safety officer is talking to an employee. Safety officer, hi Ahmed, can you tell me what this sign means? Ahmed, it means there is a danger of slippery surface. Safety officer, when does this usually happen? Ahmed, it usually happens when we leave liquids on the floor. Safety officer, what injuries might happen because of this? Ahmed, head injuries, arm injuries, or leg injuries. Safety officer, how can we prevent it? Ahmed, we should dry the floor and follow safety instructions. So this was a sample. You have to do the same thing for every picture that you are going to see. You have to name it, and you have to name the hazard in the picture. You have to name the source of this hazard, and you have to say the injuries that might result from this hazard and how to protect ourselves from this hazard. Okay, falling objects usually happen when you walk unprotected with your head uncovered in a place where there is a working area in height. and you have to take care. You have to put on your helmet. You have to watch before you walk. Okay, so you have to practice this with a friend. A friend will play the safety officer, and you answer the questions. Here again, this is the hazard of falling from a ladder or from height. Okay, it usually happens when someone is working from height, and it usually causes head injuries and back injuries. If we want to protect ourselves, we have to be protected. The ladder or the scaffold must be balanced, and we have to use the belts or harnesses to tie ourselves to the scaffold, right? So you do the same thing with your friends. Here it refers to unguarded machine. Unguarded machine usually happens when the machine is left uncovered or unattended, and it usually causes cuts or broken arms or legs. And if we want to protect it, we have to attend the machines and cover them. Toxic garbage, okay, and this can cause disease, illness. Okay, if we wanted to protect ourselves from toxic rubbish, we have to dispose of litter, especially toxic rubbish, regularly and carefully, and keep them away from the working site. Now we will look at some movement verbs that refer to movements that we do every day. And after that, we are going to practice an activity. I'm going to share the link with you to decide, and after that, we are going to decide which verbs or which actions can be done in a workplace and how. How can we do these verbs in a safe way? So, of course, some actions cannot be done in a workplace, but other actions can be done, permitted to be done, and other actions we have to do them in a certain way and under certain circumstances. Let's look at the verbs. March, walk. A march is a very standard way of walking, a very official way. So a soldier, when a soldier walks, a fighter, he walks in a march. And usually it's faster a little bit than a walk. Run, prowl. Prowl, it means to walk or to use your arms and your legs to move. Tiptoe, it means to stand on your toes and look at something. Drag, the opposite of drag is push. Jump, leap, and a leap is usually longer than a jump. Okay, a jump is to jump over something. A leap is to jump from a place to a far place. Hop, hop, it's to jump in your place. Hop, hop, hop. You don't move forward or backward, just up and down. Skip means to use a rope like this and to try to pass it under your feet and over your head. This is to skip. Hit, when you play tennis, for example, you hit the ball. Stretch, stretch. You keep your arm up and you stand on your tiptoe. Okay. Lift, it means to take something up in the same place. Lift. Put down is the opposite of lift. Dive, okay, it means to go down from a high place into a liquid, usually water. Lean, it means to stand, but you put your arm on or against a surface like a wall, for example. Sit on a chair. Squat, it's usually in this position. When you sit on a very low place, you squat. Bend, it means that you keep your head forward and your arm down, right? stretch it in front of your legs. Pick up, to take something from the ground. Hold means to stand, lifting something. Carry means to take something and hold it and move to another place holding it, right? These verbs are very important. Let's say, which verbs can't you do in a workplace? Of course, dive, for example, we cannot dive. Okay, which verbs mustn't you do? Run, we mustn't run. We mustn't skip, for instance, we mustn't skip. Okay, which actions can you do in a workplace, but in a certain way? Okay, you can, for example, crawl in a workplace, yes. When there's an emergency, there's a fire, for instance, and a lot of smoke is in front of you, you cannot see, it's coming from up. So you just crawl so that you can go out of the place. Drag. You can drag things, but make sure that you don't drag heavy loads. And also push. You can push things, but make sure that you are not pushing a heavy load. Okay? When you bend like this is very unsafe, but you can bend your knees. When you lift something, you need to bend your knees to be safe. So there are some actions that you can do at work, other actions that you cannot do, other actions that you can do in a certain way or under certain circumstances. Let's move to this activity. It's on word wall. I'm going to just to share this with you, this link. If you go there, you just see a window. Let me share it with you. All you need to do is to choose the name of the picture. So you will see a picture, and all you need to do is to choose the name of the action that you can see in the picture. It's easy and simple. Let me now share the screen with you. This activity is accessible at any time. You can do it at home. You can do it more than once. As you see here, what is this action? Is it walk, run, bend, or sleep? It's bend. Very good. If you make a mistake, it tells you about the mistake and it tells you about the correct answer. So, for instance, this picture is carry. If you choose hob, says it's wrong, and it tells you that it is carry. So you can go to this link and practice this activity as many times as you would like. It will help you with these verbs, especially because these verbs are not easy and you have to practice them a lot to keep them. Now, let's go to the next point. We need to use should or should not or shouldn't in these sentences according to the verb here. So use space, drag a heavy box or carry it. Heavy is a key word in this sentence. If the box is heavy, you shouldn't drag it or carry it. So here we have to say shouldn't. Okay, here you should leap over a hole if you can. If there is a hole on the ground, you should leap over it. So here shouldn't, here should. Use space, bend your knees when you lift something. This is very good for you. It will help you a lot. So you have to use should. Use space, run on wet floors. Run on wet floors. You shouldn't. In heavy smoke, when you have heavy smoke in front of you, because smoke, it always goes up. So you should crawl to see your way. This is what you are going to do now. You are going to write sentences about what you should do and what you shouldn't do in the workshop. Some examples are here. We shouldn't run in the workshop because we may hit something and cause an injury. We should only walk on the allowed areas. So these are some examples of sentences with the verbs that you have learned. And of course, you have to use should or shouldn't in every sentence. Try to say why you are giving this advice and why it is good, why is it bad, right? Thank you so much. Okay, so today we have learned how to use should and shouldn't. We have learned some of the verbs that refer to actions that can happen in the workplace. I hope that you have enjoyed the lesson and see you in a new lesson soon, inshallah. Thank you so much.